Contracts for your consideration for ratification. These are all contracts that have been approved by different boards, so we are bringing them back to you for your review and ratification. First, we have two from the Parks and Recreation Board. One is for the White River Greenway B.O.T. agreement, the Build, Operate, Transfer agreement. And the second is for the White River Greenway Task Order 2 with Burgess and Neifel. The two agreements go hand in hand. As you know, the Parks Department has decided to move forward with development of two anchor parks along the White River Greenway corridor, and these agreements are for that. The B.O.T. agreement is with Avenue, the developer on the project, for a guaranteed maximum price of $3.6 million, and then the Burgess and Neifel task order is for the design work associated with that, and should have found the number for him. My apologies. The amount on that one is for
$270?
Yes, thank you. $270,000. You were faster than me. Happy to answer any questions on those two agreements.
Just to clarify, this B.O.T. agreement is exclusive to the two parks, correct? Like, it's not going to be used for a trail in the future. That would be a whole other.
That would be amending if there were to be additional funds available that would be attributed to a potential project, then it would require an amendment or modification to the B.O.T. agreement that would have to go through them and then through you as well.
I just want to clarify.
In the B.O.T. agreement, one of the exhibits outlines letter F, the executive summary that outlines what the base agreement is for the Western Park, and then the base agreement for the Eastern Park, and then potential additional amenities for consideration depending on availability of funding through as the B.O.T. develops. So that's about 2/3 of the way, maybe 3/4 of the way through the document. I'm happy to walk through that if you are interested in knowing what it is.
What page was that on?
The page isn't numbered, but it's Exhibit F.
Okay, 31, 30.
I should really require my consultants to number all pages. The base for the Western Park includes improving the surface of the parking area and widening the drive, improving the parking lot area itself, expanding the parking lot area itself, adding a separate path along the entry drive. That's on-site, that's not off-site. Then adding concrete pads for portable restroom facilities and for a trash dumpster, restoring well-disturbed areas, tree mitigation is required, and stormwater management infrastructure is required. That's the base for the Western Park. For the proposed Eastern Park, the base agreement includes platting the park, dedicating right-of-way, splitting the parcel as needed, entry drive, parking area, separate entry drive, separate bike or pedestrian path along the entry drive, kayak or non-motorized boat launch ramp, concrete pad for mobile restroom facilities, concrete pad for dumpsters, entry signage, fencing along the perimeter of the lot, landscape buffering along the perimeter of the lot, and then restoring the disturbed areas, stormwater management, and tree mitigation is needed. And then that's the base included within both of those phases of the project. And then as the project progresses, we'll know better what will be available for the within the B.O.T. agreement. You have the flexibility to use the additional funds for the amenities, almost like a menu option. And the additional menu amenities for consideration are also listed in there. Expanded parking areas, additional signage, natural play areas, improved picnic areas, shelters, those type of facilities.
I just know there's been a lot of concerning questions, so I'm going to clarify them.
Sure.
This agreement will not be.
This agreement does not include trails off of the sites of the two parks.
Any other questions? Entertain a motion. Make a motion, we accept the B.O.T. agreement as presented for the 2 access points as described. Second. Second. Any other discussion? Yeah.
You have a question, Tom? I have a question, absolutely. Where exactly is the east side going?
We can't speak to that at this time
So, why can't we?
because it's a confidential discussion.
We're asking us to spend money on a confidential discussion that we are going to approve this without knowing exactly where it's going to be? How's that happen?
I can speak to that.
Okay, Jess, if you would.
The structure of the B.O.T. agreement is open book. It's guaranteed maximum price with an open book. If at any time the Parks Board or the commissioners through the Parks Board becomes uncomfortable with the situation, then you can pause the project and have those discussions. But until the, well, to be honest, the person that the developer is talking with about the property has been harassed throughout this process and has asked for confidentiality and asked for not to have discussions in public about what that site is. And that's being requested just like it would, or being honored just like it would be on any purchase of property that would be occurring or negotiated.
So they're in the current, there's nothing definite on purchasing this property. They're still in the process of looking and securing.
If that would not happen for some reason or another, then the board and the commissioners have the ability to reallocate the funds within that project or to adjust the guaranteed maximum price overall. That's the benefit of the B.O.T. Structure and the benefit of the guaranteed maximum pricing and open book contract.
Just who will approve the ultimate location if the proposed location of the eastern part?
Well, I would assume that it would be the park board and that would approve it. Is that fair?
But, last week, when I went to the park board meeting, they said they had no location ready yet, or conversing with anybody to buy that property.
We said
Wherever
county
it is.
officials have not had any discussions about purchasing property, which is 100% true.
Okay.
When you do the B.O.T., then that firm would be the one that secures the property and
Maybe I just don't understand.
yeah,
Maybe
it's
if
kind
you
of a
could clear it up for me.
Well, Jess could probably explain that better than me, but it's a different way of doing things than we've never done a B.O.T. in the county before, for instance, at least the county. I can't answer for any other outside units.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what we just said. The county officials have no discussions about purchasing property with any private owner. The developer, the agreement that we are discussing is with a developer, and that developer essentially handles all of that side of it, and then we pay the developer at the end to turn over the completed facilities, the completed parks in this case. That's how BOT agreements are structured.
So the developer would be looking for parcels and the ones being in negotiation to purchase those parcels or parcels. And then they would also be the ones that complete the project and then sell the project in essence back to the county.
At some point during that process, after a purchase was made, then that would be a public.
Yes.
That would be public.
Yes. Or
Right
even
now,
after an
starting
agreement is in
negotiation.
point. I don't know what that point is.
Well, they would not purchase that property without agreement from the.
I would assume that is the case, yes, 100%.
Absolutely not.
It will be brought into the jurisdiction of the Parks Department. As part of the power of a Parks and Recreation Board, they have the authority to acquire land for the purposes of parks. And so they themselves would make that determination. It absolutely cannot be done other than in a public meeting.
So those would be meetings Mr. Zollikar would know about in advance.
Yeah, they could, I don't believe that there would be a public hearing necessarily, but it would have to be at a public meeting. And I don't see anything.
Park Board meets on the first Thursday of every month at noon in this room. Unless it's a holiday, then it becomes a second Thursday. That schedule was published at the beginning of the year, and it's held still, with the exception of the day after we had the tornado come through Madison County, when we canceled that meeting. We do have a Parks and Recreation email account at parksdepartment@madisoncounty.in.gov. We have a mailing list that sends out information about meetings ahead of time. And you can send questions to there and we will respond. I'm happy to communicate. We are working on updating the website, and being able to provide better information. The information we have available right now is on the website under the ARPA section. The Parks and Recreation Master Planning has been updated to include that information. And I think the Parks Board has done a phenomenal job of allowing public discussion at meetings and of really taking feedback from residents and adjusting their ideas and thoughts accordingly. So.
Can I make one more comment?
Sure.
No, I think I speak for, I'm going to go 90%. It's probably more like 99%, but I'm going to give a little opening. That 8th Street Road does not want either one of these two projects. I've talked to just about every homeowner on 8th Street Road from Rabel Avenue to Perkinsville, and a lot of the people in Perkinsville, because I walked through the neighborhoods to find out if they were on it or against it, for it or don't want it. And the majority of the people do not want this project because it's going to bring people into the neighborhood that we pay a lot of money for these houses to be on the river. And I've got a creek in the front. And if you go to the back, and it's going to happen, I know it, because once you let them put two out there, they're going to connect them. And when they connect them, that's going to go right back to the walking river, to walk on the river, the Greenway, White River Greenway project. We don't want it. And I just want you to know that and have it on the record that we are not happy with this project.
But they're not talking about doing any trails. They're just
I
talking about
do understand that.
So they've certainly had those conversations.
But they've never said they won't do it. They say we're going to table it. In other words, it's always open for discussion if you table something.
Even if you don't table it and it's gone, you can bring it back and talk about it.
Well, that's right.
So yes, everything's always on.
But common sense tells me that you let these happen, you're going to connect them. Why would you not? You done spent $4 million. That's all I have to say.
Any other questions for Jess? We have a motion and a second on the floor. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries.
Was that for just the B.O.T. agreement, or was that for also task order 2?
That was just on the B.O.T. agreement.
So then task order 2 with Burgess and Knifel is for the $270,000. That is for the design work associated with the project.
This has already been approved by the Park Board, correct, Jessica?
That is correct.
And this is the design work for one existing location owned by DNR and then another location.
The scope of work in this was exactly what I told you in the B.O.T. agreement as well. It's for the base level design.
Any other questions? Yes. Make a motion that we adopt task order number 2.
Second.
Second, any other discussion?
I do have a question, not necessarily to this task, but I'm concerned about some of the same things Mr. Zolikar's concerned about, and that's the connection of those parks with a trailway that the residents don't want. What process would have to happen if that ever became subject matter and it was proposed that a trailway were to be put in? What safeguards does a homeowner living on 8th Street have to come and speak their piece?
I think the biggest safeguard is the property aspect of it. The board has very emphatically said multiple times, and you have also very emphatically stated that eminent domain is not on the table for this. And so if you're not willing to sell property, that very much restricts the county's ability to take property if they're not willing to pursue eminent domain. And I think we've all said from the start, eminent domain is not something that we have an appetite for in this situation. I will say that we have had a number of homeowners actually reach out to us that do support it, and they're just not comfortable stating it in the public forum because of the repercussions that they feel they will receive. We have had homeowners come to various board members since they decided to move forward with the anchor parks and offer to sell property. People who spoke up at meetings as showing visibly not supporting it. So I think that it is important to keep in mind that, yes, there's a lot of discussion about it, but we only hear one side of things in the public forum. The other part of it is that without property, any infrastructure project can't move forward. And so if the residents aren't willing to sell the property and the county's not willing to take eminent domain, then a project can't move forward. I mean, it's got to go through that process, right? Just like any other capital project would have to. There's got to be property purchase. There's got to be solicitations for professional services, public bidding, appropriations of funds, just like any other public project. Whether it's headed up by the commissioners or the park board, it's the same type of processes.
I know during this process, things that I've heard are, and we don't write statute, but that the park board has too much authority, and that's a concern of citizens, and whether or not they make a statement that I'm not saying for or against, so please nobody take it that way, but even though they may say we won't go the eminent domain route, the ability for a parks board to do that is there. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's one of their powers under
and
state
that's
law.
the fear that I'm hearing that people have. I just want to make sure that's on the record.
Sure. And like Jeff said, that is a power from state law, and the way that the commissioners have oversight on that is through your appointments onto the board.
And also through funding. So
Absolutely. And
if there's no will from commissioners and as council to take property and replace board members, if there is that initiative, then that should take care of itself in that manner.
Debt to build a trail system would have to come before the commissioners and the council.
Correct. Nobody's going to issue debt without those bodies signing on, particularly the council.
Task Order 2 is still under consideration. Task Order 2 is still under consideration for the White River Greenway.
Any other questions? We have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. One other final item. This is on behalf of the Drainage Board. This is for the Carter Geating project, ARPA project that funding was approved for.